What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Universal Teas. It's the People's Podcast with your girl Toya. And this episode is called Lean Into Your Intuition. So, first of all, y'all, I'm tired. It has been a long day. Your girl been up since 6:30. It's almost 10. But I have decided to be committed to my craft and just give y'all what is on my spirit. Um So leaning into intuition has been on my spirit because in this season or this phase of my life, I'm deciding to say yes to things that feel good and no to things that don't. And I mean that in a very tangible sense. I know I see it a lot on social media, specifically with like relationships, like, oh, walk away or say no to things that don't feel good to you or people that don't treat you well. But I think we need to have that same reverence for everything in our lives. No matter how good an opportunity may be, if it's not the right opportunity for you, you're still doing yourself and your future self a disservice. Listening to the things that are true to you, the feelings that you get, the thoughts that you have, the ideas that are presented to you, the visions, the way that you see them, see those through and say yes to those. Simple things I'm starting to realize that I need to listen to myself in the moment for simple things like driving down the street and driving past a store or a restaurant that I've wanted to try and stopping in, or realizing that I'm in a grocery store and there's a new item that I see that I want to try and telling myself it's okay to pick it up and put it in my cart. Simple things like that, deciding that you want to wear a specific outfit today and not thinking, oh, this event isn't that big of a deal, so I'm not gonna wear this nice ass outfit, or I'm not gonna do my hair in this really nice hairstyle because I'm just going here, or I'm just going there. But honoring what you feel, what you think, what you want to give yourself in the moment. That's where I am. And so that's really what I wanted to lead with in this episode. It's kind of like leaning into intuition. You know how you feel about things, you know how you feel about people, you know how you feel about opportunities. And that doesn't take away from the goodness that they may be. You know what I mean? Just because you know somebody is good, it's still okay to say that that person may not be good for you. It's okay to recognize that a job pays a lot of money and it may be considered a good job, but if it doesn't fulfill you and you're miserable doing the work every day, it's okay that it's not a good job for you. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to honor what is true for you, even though it may not make sense to other people. I was having a conversation earlier today about this podcast and kind of how I fell into it was natural. And I started to kind of build it into, or I felt like I had to build it into a business because I know I wanted to be big. So, of course, in my mind, the next step is to figure out how to make it a business. And we're in this day and age where everything and on social media, you got to start a business. You got to do this. You got to go to these, seminars and webinars and groups and organizations and networking events. And I realized, or I knew all along, that it was not very natural to me and to my calling and to what I was trying to do. But I tried to fit into that box versus honoring that the only, that me growing in this right of speaking and podcasting and building my impact didn't have to fit into a business box, right? The opportunity to become a brand in the business will come, but I realized that I was moving away from the commitment to the craft. I was moving outside of just doing the podcast, letting people hear my voice, because the more connections I made, I realized that I had nothing to connect those people to. Because I moved away from simply uploading podcast episodes. I moved away from doing live podcasts on my Facebook where I had my largest audience. I moved away, from doing what was natural to me because I was trying to fit into this box that was business. And now I'm returning back to my intuition that tells me to just use my voice, just motivate people, just lean into that impact and that intuition. And so the way that I recognized that this needed to be prioritized in my life, I have a couple notes that I wanted to go through. And the first thing that I have in my notes is to take the mic away from your fears and give them to your intuition. fear was leading me more than my passion was. Fear was leading me more than my talent was. Fear was leading me more than my desire to be impactful to as many people, or not even to as many people, but to the people who needed it the most. And so I realize now in saying this out loud that my fear was being left behind. My fear was not being able to compete. My fear was being compared to things, people, situations, and other people's life journeys that literally had nothing to do with mine. They can't compare because they're not the same. And I don't say that in a vain way that no one can compare to me, but literally, like, what I do can't be compared to anybody that I see doing things around me, and knowing that that is okay. I started to tell myself that I had to do things in a specific way. I had to be in specific networks. I had to record specific content. I had to have certain elements to what I do. I needed specific equipment. I needed specific things. When I realized that the largest feedback for the impact that I made came when I simply did it the way that it was natural to me. And so because I was on social media and I had this fear that I wasn't recording the content I needed to, I wasn't uploading the way that I should, I wasn't using the platforms that needed to be used, I started to fear that I was being left behind. But the only thing that was being left behind was the quality of my craft that comes natural to me, you know? And so I decided that from this point forward, I'm now going to lean into my intuition and what it tells me that I need to do, the way that I need to act, the way that I need to build this brand or this craft around myself. You know, I'm starting to get more and more ideas of things that may not even be related to each other. You know what I'm saying? I have different ideas. I love education. I've been thinking about doing something in education. I've been thinking about doing something in, you know, the film world and hosting my own events. And so leaning into that, you're not giving gifts. You're not giving visions and ideas for no reason. Don't let them blow away in the wind. And so I also am acknowledging the fact that I have people and everything. Just because I want something to be mine, or I want this brand to be mine, or I want this podcast to have my name attached to it, I don't have to have my hand in every single step of it. I don't have to have my hand in every single facet of what it's going to become, because to be quite honest, if I put my hand in everything, it'll never get to where it wants to go, because I can't do everything. I don't have the knowledge of marketing. I don't have the knowledge of even scheduling. I don't have the knowledge of finding event spaces. I don't have the knowledge of networking in certain spaces, but knowing that I have people, and people have been showing me that they have me. I've literally gotten friends who have sent me like, oh girl, I was at this event yesterday and the space looked like a space that would be great for you. I know you said you wanted to do more live events, or, you know, I got this email across my desk for this, you know, networking event. I think it aligns with what you're doing. You need to do this. Or, girl, like, you can't do everything by yourself. If you need help with content, just send me some videos of you. I got you. But I'm realizing that it is okay to take your hands off. And I told my friend the other day, we were texting, and I was like, it's just hard when you see the vision. You're afraid to put it in someone else's hands. Like, I'm sure after you have a kid, you're probably afraid to let a stranger or somebody who is not like the other parent hold your child. And that's how I feel about this. It's kind of like, I don't want to put the baby that I'm building in this in somebody else's hands, because I don't want them to drop it, right? You don't want somebody to drop your baby. I don't want somebody to drop my baby. And I think the fear is, that's another fear that I have, is if I give the responsibility to someone else to do something for this, because I'm so passionate about it, I'm afraid that they might drop the ball. I also have a fear that people won't be as passionate about it as I am. I have a fear. I've been struggling a little bit with like trusting relationships lately. And so I have a fear that, like, what if we fall out? And I trusted, I was looking for you to uphold this part of my business, but I had to realize that giving that fear the mic takes away from actually doing it. Like anybody can come and go in your life. Actually, people are going to come in your life. So living and giving fear that stage or that opportunity or that microphone is only going to take away from the work happening. And if anything, I'm realizing that as people are helping me and doing work for me, I'm going to learn. I have to put myself in a position to watch and learn and listen from the people around me, and trust that I can make good decisions, because a large part of not trusting other people is really the trust that you don't have in yourself. So knowing that when you're growing and doing and building, you have to trust yourself first. And this year, as I'm going through Universal Teas and building it out and being consistent with it, the words that I'm living by in 2024 are self-awareness. So I have to have learned myself enough to know that I can choose good people. But in that, I also have to know myself enough to know that even if I do make wrong decisions, I have to trust myself enough to bounce back. I have to trust myself enough to be able to pick up the ball on my own. I have to trust myself enough to find other people. So trusting yourself is not just with a person, with a job, with a specific relationship or opportunity that you take. It's trusting yourself to be okay if it doesn't work out. That's what it looks like to not give the fear the voice, to acknowledge it as a possibility, but not give it a voice, not give it the energy, because we all know that we live in a world full of energy. What you give out, you always get back. So if you're putting this distrustful energy in the world, if you're putting this fearful energy in the world, that's what's going to come back to you, versus if you are confident about what you want, what you need, and how you express yourself to the people you need help with, you are going to then attract people who are confident in their ability to meet your needs, right? If you're going into something timid, if you're going into something and you're kind of like, it's whatever, you can do what you want, people are literally going to do whatever the hell they want to do with your thoughts, your ideas, and your brand babies, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. The next thing is that you have to take your eyes off of everyone else. Because like I was saying earlier, you sometimes get in this loop of seeing how other people are doing their thing and you're like, that is working for them, I need to try it. But it's like, no, that works for them because they are in their lane. That may not work for the lane that you are in. You may be able to ride a narrow lane in a little Corvette, but you are not taking an 18-wheeler truck through that same lane the same way. Just like those little bridges, the little viaducts, y'all know y'all be on the highway and like you ride under those things and it has the measurement of like how tall the truck can be, like the clearance, like it can be 14 feet high. So it's like, yes, a car can fit under this bridge, but you can't have a truck that's over 14 feet go through that same bridge. They have to find a different lane. They have to find a different route, a different avenue to take. They may get to the same destination, or they may get to a destination that is best fit for them. You know what I'm saying? You have to know and understand and realize that you have to take your eyes off of people. And if you are still in spaces where you're seeing other people succeed, take the success. Like, look at the character traits that they have. Look at the values that they have, not necessarily what they are doing. You know what I mean? Take from it and become motivated. Like, that person does their thing consistently. That person does their thing diligently. That person does their thing and pays attention to every single detail associated with it. Those are the things, and that's my co-host, my dog. Those are the things that you take with you into your lane. You're not going to take what literal business they have, what literal goals they've set for themselves and put them into your business. You are literally just going to take the values of motivation or things that you can push yourself to do, right? And this is also a way for you to not be a hater. Y'all know I'm always speaking to haters. We kind of think that because somebody is doing well in their lane that you got to hate on them. Like, no, baby, that's them. And you don't even have to show gratitude, but being a hater is not going to get you to where you want to go any faster. Honestly, it's taking your focus off of what you need to be doing. So keep that in mind as well. Another part of leaning into your intuition is giving yourself space to hear yourself. And I have a whole episode on this. I don't even remember the name, but go ahead and scroll after y'all listen to this. Go to the show and find the episode where I kind of talk about being okay with giving yourself space to hear you. If you are constantly on go, if you are constantly at meetings, if you are constantly looking for the next thing, the next job, the next relationship, the next friendship, the next turn up, you don't have space to hear what you need. You are just operating on autopilot, and you have to understand that in order for you to know the next best move, you have to give yourself space to be quiet, to hear yourself. You know, you can't hear those noises. Y'all ever be in the middle of the night when you in bed and you hear something weird in the house and you like, what was that? You can't hear those things when you're having stuff happening in your house in the daytime, because you got so much noise around that you don't even hear the noise that's suspicious. In this concept, you can't hear the noise that is for you. You can't hear the voice. You can't hear the calling that is for you, because you're so enveloped in constant noise, constant chaos, constant movement that you don't recognize. And a lot of times the things that you need to do, or the voices that you get, or the callings that you have, or the things you're called to do, are whispers. They're not going to be loud. They're not going to be in your face, but they are going to be subtle. So you have to be able to be in a space mentally, physically, emotionally to hear these things. You might be so stuck in the mindset of I gotta go, I gotta hustle, I gotta get it, when you don't even know what direction you're going in, because you haven't given yourself the opportunity to sit down and hear. So you're just running in circles. You're just making yourself tired, but you're not making no progress. You got a whole lot of motion and no progress, because you haven't given yourself the permission to sit down, be quiet, and hear yourself. Okay? Another thing that I want to talk about when we lean into our intuition is, don't be afraid to turn things down or to step away from opportunities. And this is something that I just got okay with, like literally in the last couple of days or so. And I kind of talked about it at the beginning of this, is you have to know that just because you are presented, or you meet people who are doing great, or you meet people who give you an opportunity, or you come into contact with situations that are great opportunities, if they are not for you, it is okay to turn them down. It's okay to still love the person that gave you the opportunity. It is still okay to stay connected to people who give you these opportunities. It is still okay to be in network and support people who provide you with opportunities to do things differently. But it is okay to say, but that doesn't work for me. This doesn't work for me. You can't be afraid to turn things down, because honestly, if you say yes to anything, that means that you don't have any boundaries. You don't have any values. You don't have a standard for what it is that you are trying to do. Yeah, that was right. I thought I said that wrong. For what it is that you're trying to do, or who you're trying to become. That means you don't really value the vision that you have for yourself. You don't really value, or you don't really believe in what it is that you see for yourself if you're willing to say yes to anything. It is okay to turn things down and say, but I'm going to stay connected. But if I need anything, I'll reach out. There's a difference between keeping a connection and taking every opportunity. You can be connected to a lot of different people in a lot of different realms, because honestly, when you hold connection, that builds support. That builds support for what it is you're doing, and you may need to support something that someone else is doing, but you don't have to be everywhere doing everything for everybody every time an opportunity is presented to you. Okay? You also want to make sure that you're doing what you're called to do consistently to get to the people that you're called to. For example, I'm a great speaker. I love making an impact on people. I love filling out people's energy. And of course, at some point, I know that this is going to become something maybe bigger than I could imagine. But the thing is, like I mentioned earlier, I have to do this consistently, so that people will be able to see me for what I do, for who I am, for what my passion is. And the more that I see that, and I was just saying this a little bit earlier, the more consistent I am with my calling, the more consistent I am with my gift, I'll run into people who are going to be for me. I'll run into somebody like, yo, this podcast is dope. You should make a video. I'm a, videographer or whatever the case may be, and I want to do this. I want to partner with you. Like, yo, you have something. I can market this for you. I'm a brand ambassador. I'm a brand what you call a brand builder, brand manager, and I can help you kind of flesh this idea out. I love what you're doing there. You have to know and understand and trust your gift and your talent. Like, this is what I'm doing right now. And you can always be open to learning, and that's the hack too. Be open to learning about all these things, but you don't have to do every single thing. Do what you were called to do until the opportunity for the right people in the right positions come across. Okay? And all of that just leads to the one point of trusting yourself. Trusting yourself to make the right decisions, trusting yourself to bounce back when you don't make the right decisions, being able to forgive yourself for decisions that you may have made that may not have been the best, trusting in your own talents and capabilities, trusting in the vision that you see, and knowing that you may not see every step when we talk about faith. The most important thing with faith is taking that first step, but knowing and understanding that if I live in my gift consistently, if I give my all to my gift in my lane, then giving it that diligence is going to get me to where I want to go. You might not get there alone. You're going to come across people who are going to want to help you and support you, but do what you do with diligence. Take your time, pay attention to the details, make your craft perfect. And so that way that when people come across you, they know that if they want to support or be a part of what you do, they have to match your energy. Okay? Put your blinders on. Stop looking at everybody else. Trust yourself. Know that you'll be fine. Do what you do to perfection, and you will be just fine. All right? Thank y'all for joining me for another episode of Universal Teas. I will see y'all right back here on Tuesday. Make sure you subscribe, share, leave a comment or a review on this episode. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.